Now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk Hookup. Get ready for more of the best fishing information and the hottest tips on improving your angling skills. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Yamaha Outboards. Reliability starts here. Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And by Rancho Leonero, where your wildest Baja dreams come true. And now, Southern California's sports fishing voice, the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray and Rock God Rick Maxa.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. Pete Gray here. Rock God Rick Maxa. We're in the Mighty 1090 studios. Captain Ryan Bostian from the San Diego. What a busy and great show it has been today.
No doubt, man. Phones are absolutely packed up solid, but we got another full hour with your opportunity to get through. And if you do want to get through, have your chance to talk to Captain Ryan Bostian. There's 2 ways you can do it. First is with our local line. That's 858 area code 457-1090. Again, 858-457-1090. Or you can reach us on our toll-free number. That one's 877-792-1090. Again, 877-792-1090. Not only are we taking your phone calls, answering your questions with the man, Captain Ryan Bostian, we're also giving away 2 great prizes at the end of the show today. 2 lucky callers are each going to get a chance to go fishing on the San Diego and get in on all this awesome action and experience that we've been talking about aboard the beautiful San Diego out of Seaforth Sport
2
Fishing.
winners today.
Yep, your shot at winning a 3-quarter-day trip. And with that said, it's time to find out what's biting out there. It's time for the catch board. And today, our FishDope.com report is sponsored by Fisherman's Processing in San Diego. Fisherman's Processing is San Diego's finest, and that's why they're known as the Fish Pros. And once you try them, you'll be hooked. They'll fillet and vacuum pack your fish all to your specs, as well as offer the best in smoked fish, jerky, and their famous tuna burger. Check fishermansprocessing.com for more details, or you can see them when your trip returns to the San Diego landing. Let's start off with our FishDope.com reporter, Captain Mark Wish of Pacific Edge. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Ricky. Good morning, Pete, Ryan.
Mark.
Morning.
Well, guys, another interesting week. Some good volume of trophy-grade fish around, so let me give you a little rundown here at Santa Barbara Island. Weather's been up again, unfortunately, but getting a little bit better. And I've got a boat full of experts up there scouting around. I can't wait to get their report because there was some good signal here before the wind, so hopefully I get that report and we go up there and check it out again for you personally here tonight. Catalina, again, some weather this week. West was pretty much blown out, but backside east provided a little bit of cover. Squid's been good in that zone, plenty of bait around, no shortage of that. Yellows and sea bass on the bait ground, 15 to 18 fathoms there. Some of that yellow is big, guys, 30-pound plus. There's some really nice ones in there. Sea bass is more mid-grade out there in the deep water, but let me tell you, guys, you want to be fishing heavy gear, not maybe so much because of the fish, because the bottom structure is easy out there, but the seal situation is horrible. There's just gazillions of them. If you don't pull hard on your fish, you're going to lose them to the seals. Heavy gear, guys. Up on the beaches, still pick on that better grade sea bass around, not quite wide open like it was there, but still plenty of fish around. And we're coming into really good moons and tides here next couple of days, so I get interested. Some of that fish is up there really tight, 15 to 20 feet, so watch the swell. At San Clemente Island, a bunch of yellows moved in, mostly smaller fish, but it's a good sign that that island's finally getting right there. And, you know, they're fighting pretty good. Best zone there has been from in the cove and then around China up the back towards the windmill sector. On the coast here, and this is where it's getting really interesting, a few dabs of squid around, been a little off Huntington Beach again, some off Newport, some south coast there. Not too much fish on it yet, but that can change really rapidly. And there has been some good signal on tanker-grade sea bass along some of the kelp lines, all up and down the coast. One of my buddies just called yesterday with a 62-pounder on a mackerel from that south coast sector. And I fished Palos Verdes on Monday. We're actually up there fishing halibut, but we did have to do a little bit of looking around there. So some big schools of sea bass on some of those kelp lines up there. Big schools of big fish. Getting interesting, guys. And then offshore, of course, all eyes are focused on that bluefin zone. It's kind of below the 371 down toward the hidden, out toward the 390. Pretty good area of fish. And with that volume around, though, it looks like it's going to get real interesting real soon when it takes an ocean to bite, if they take an ocean to bite, them being bluefin, of course. But, and also, guys, I truly hope you've been listening to what Ryan and these guys are talking about in this show. There has been some astoundingly important information given out today. You guys are doing a great job. So time to go fishing, guys.
Yeah, no kidding. It's time to go fishing. It sounds like really, really good stuff there, Mark. And, of course, fishdope.com. Danny has been on it, hasn't he?
He's on it.
Yeah.
Guy's hard working, man.
Yeah. I mean,
He does a fantastic job.
It's got all the information, everything you need to know about what's going on both at Catalina, San Clemente Islands, north of that, south of that, down on the Bluefin grounds. Fishdope.com has it. $20 off a new membership to fishdope.com using the code HOOKUPNOW, lowercase, no space. Now's the time. If you don't have Fishdope, now's the time to sign up. Fishdope.com, and you know exactly what's going on every day before you go fishing. And, Mark, how do we find you?
Pete, we're in Huntington Beach, corner of Bolsa Chica and Edinger. Phone number at the store's area code 714-840-4262. The website, PacificEdgeTackle.com. And I'm going fishing tonight. We're going to have some good on-the-water stuff for you next week.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, good luck. You going to Catalina?
I don't know yet. Maybe, probably, because, the weather's still not the best, but I'm waiting for that Santa Barbara Island report. We'll see.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good luck, Mark. We'll look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.
Right,
thanks, Mark. All right, let's now head on down to San Diego, over to Seaforth Sport Fishing, home of the San Diego, and talk to Marcos. Marcos, what's going on at Seaforth?
Good morning, guys. How's everyone doing this morning?
Doing great.
Is this the Marcos on the radio?
World famous. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Extraordinaire.
But I guess I don't probably have to speak too much about the San Diego today. I'm pretty sure you got a decent report on that, going secondhand source, but probably pretty reliable there. But the half day had some very good fishing through the week here. Very good rock fishing, reds, white fishing, a few other bottom fishing there. Water up in La Jolla hasn't quite cleaned up enough to really start getting into any of that bass or anything like that, but hopefully that's coming soon here. We're still trying to get those twilight trips out. We ran a couple last week. Did not get out last night. We're going to try again tonight. Just give some more time for those guys to get out there and look around. The overnight trips, a little bit slow during the week here. A little bit of bluefin, yellowtail, some bonito in there, but like I said, a bit of weather there kind of slowed everything down, and just a little bit of a lull in general after that. The spring break kind of came to an end there. We've been a little bit slower, but I'm guessing that'll pick back up with the great weather, and once fishing turns around here, we'll be back to business. Check the website, seaforthlanding.com. Half days, those twilights, Friday, Saturday nights. The San Diego trips all online there. We have some overnight trips online. You can make reservations on the website. You can always give us a call at the office, 619-224-3383. Come down, visit us in person, visit the tackle shop there, and stop by and get some breakfast at the landing there.
Good call, Marcos, as always. Great fishing going on, and, boy, we sure appreciate a great report and look forward to hearing another one next week.
I do have one request, though. I think to really get that twilight trip going, you're just going to have to come down and get out there.
Don't threaten me with a good time, buddy. I'll do it.
It's been a while since I've seen you on the twilight, so I have to make a personal request here. Do me a solid.
It's done. Me and Dad will come down. That was every Friday night. We would always go down and fish the twilight at Seaforth. That was my favorite. So you count me in, Marcos. I'll go as long as you go with me.
And when's that start?
Hey, let's do it. We're going to have to put a limited load on that trip, though. It might get too busy.
When's that start, Marcos?
What's that?
When's that twilight start?
Last week.
Oh, it started last week, so every Friday.
Fridays and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
We didn't get out last night, just not enough people. Hopefully we can get out tonight, and then next week we'll Friday, Saturday again.
Okay, very good.
Well, I got to do our Mazat Lawn broadcast next weekend, but the weekend after that, count on it. We'll go together, Marcos. That sounds fun.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm going to have to get my fishing license.
We'll appreciate a great report, Marcos, and we'll look forward to talking to you next weekend.
Talk to you then, guys.
All right.
All right, Rick Jensen, Sport Fishing Financial. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, good morning, guys.
And he's got our Northern Baja report. What's going on down there?
Hi, Rick.
Hey. Well, what's going on up here at Dana Point is today, we've been working on the white sea bass pens the last few weeks, and we're excited that today, right after the show, we have our final site inspection with Hub SeaWorld coming down, and we anticipate everything checking out and getting our grow-out fish on Monday. So if you're around the harbor after the show today at 9 o'clock and interested in getting involved, come by. It's on the island at the harbor on the south end near the Harbor Patrol offices, and we're still looking for guys to get involved and help us out and pick out some days to help feed and monitor the fish. So if anybody's available, come on by after the show today at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, come on by. Absolutely.
Yeah, so as far as the report goes, we start down at Mulahe, Bahia Concepcion, where fishing's back on the upswing. Big yellows, snapper, cabrilla are all really starting to bite. So I think things are starting to spawn there again, and weather's been pretty decent. At Cedros, Jeff at Cedros Kayaking Fishing says that they had decent weather through the week. That central Baja blew pretty hard most of the week, but they had some decent fishing there here and there. And the smaller yellowtail were around. Calico continues to improve, and on the lee side, the halibut fishing stayed steady. Bay of LA, a little bit colder there. Water turned over a little bit and some wind, so we didn't get a lot of reports there. San Quintin, again, the wind has been pretty tough, as we know here. Same down there, and not a whole lot of fishing effort happened in San Quintin over the last week. I called and talked to Juan from San Quintin Bay Sport Fishing this morning, and they were out scratching up some bait. It looks like there's a little bit of a weather window here, so they're going to hit it hard, and hope things are – I know the fish are there, but hope they get out and get them while the wind is down. Ensenada, there's been some scattered yellowtail, and bottom fishing has continued consistent. So looking for a better weather pattern setting through, and things on the improve with a little bit of wind last week. We should have a better report coming up this week.
Yeah, we certainly hope so, for sure, Rick. And, of course, Sport Fishing Financial, you've helped a lot of our listeners get on a plan and for their future and present, and really doing a great job, I know, for me as well as a lot of our listeners. We sure appreciate it. If somebody wants to jump on board Sport Fishing Financial, how do we do that?
Yeah, it's best to just give me a call or reach me on the website, sportfishingfinancial.com. We've got a few trips that our clients and client appreciation stuff coming up where there's some spots. We even have a couple spots at Cedros during, Labor Day week. And we've got some opportunity to do some fishing in Bay of LA on a parker that we had down there with San Quintin Bay Sport Fishing. So give us a call on the line at 949-481-1807 as well. But, hey, before I go, I had a question on rigging those flat falls for either Rick or Ryan. I guess, first of all, Ryan, have you seen any of those braided flat fall hooks be bitten off by the bluefin?
We have seen a few hook failures, not many. It seems to be on the smaller flat falls. Once you get up to the 200 and the 250 gram, we have not seen any hook failures. But we've seen, I don't know if they're getting bitten off, but I would pull on those hooks pretty hard before you use them. Wrap it around a pair of pliers or something so you don't put the hook in your hand. Pull on them. I've seen a couple of them come untied.
Oh.
I was curious about abrasion resistance because we all know braid doesn't do very well that way. And I've, been on schools of smaller white sea bass with barracuda mixed in Baja, and we're throwing that flat fall, and 10 or 15 minutes later the hook's gone because the barracuda had bit through the braid. And I just wondered if, a long fight with a bluefin, if you get him in the wrong spot, I guess that's a risk, but maybe that doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often. It seems like the flatfall is either down in their throat, and we have to dig it out, or it's hanging on the lip, and the spectra attachment lines are not even touching the teeth. That seems to be the two different situations that we see.
Now, for the most part, and myself included, I just fish it just exactly the way it comes, right out of the package, tie it on. But via customer demand and want, we take a handful of them every time, and we have our good buddy Chris Letourneau, who's master welding guy, and we have a series of them that we just sell at the shop that have just standard 7691 big tuna hooks just welded right on them. He welds a ring onto the front of the jig and a 7691 just rung right onto the back of the flat fall. And I can't tell you what it does, positive or negative, to the action of the lure. We're not claiming that it makes it better or that it doesn't hamper it some, but for those that, there was just too many people asking for a very substantial hook, so we make a few that way. Myself, I still fish it exactly the way that it comes, right out of the package. I've never had an issue, but for those that, that want to try it that way, we have them at the store with a 7691s all welded up on them.
They sure hold a lot better than a treble hook, I tell you that. You can pull really hard when you hook one up on a flat fall.
Have you pulled many hooks on those?
No, not many.
No, they don't pull.
They don't pull. It's a great way to be attached to a fish, I think. I mean, you can pull really hard, a lot harder than you can on like a standard yo-yo lure with a treble hook.
Yeah, very good.
And you've got that second hook there as well as a backup to hold, or if anything broke off. So, Yeah, I was just curious because I've only caught a few bluefin on those, and Rick, like you said, I've hooked a bigger hook on the back just because of what I saw with the barracuda chewing through, and I was curious about the action as well. I wondered if it would change it, but I haven't been in the water to watch one sink, so who knows?
Yeah, I still fish them right out of the box as well, just like Rick.
Hey, Rick, great to talk to you, and thanks a lot for the call this morning. Appreciate that very much.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our Catchport again, sponsored in part by Gamakatsu Hooks, Japan's leading fish hook that sets the standard. Whether you're fishing live bait or frozen, the most important thing to remember when rigging a squid is to use that Gamakatsu Octopus 4X hook. Nothing penetrates deeper or holds tighter, and while it's true that every captain has his own tricks for how to rig a squid, there's no question on which hook to use. That Gamakatsu Octopus hooks, you can get it at your favorite tackle store.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the phones. They are jam-packed.
How about this time we talk to Jim? He's calling us from National City this morning. Good morning, Jim. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, guys. Good to talk to you again, Skip. I was just on the boat the other day with you. And
Good morning, Jim.
Yeah, but, the thing I kind of wanted to mention today is I've seen a lot of people get on your boat. I think I've been with you 3 or 4 times this year. And, 50-60% of those people have the right gear. Of course, a lot of guys are novice, and not that I'm an expert, but, they're not quite on top of this particular type of fishing.
It's entry-level sport fishing for sure, most of the time.
But the thing of it is, the 2 deckhands, and I hate to even call them deckhands, but Sean and Matt, I think they both have their skipper's license. But those guys, if even myself, I always go to those 2 guys. Hey, check my drag. What do you think of this hook? This particular knot, does it look okay? And the thing for your customers to remember is the 2 most important guys on that boat outside of the skipper are those 2, and I hate to call them deckhands, but Matt and Sean. Those guys are just so good,
Thank you.
I think Sean spent 10 years on the long-range boat. Anyway, I would just like to mention that to your customers coming on there. Don't be afraid to go up to those deckhands. Those guys will help you in any way that they can. And,
you're a wise angler, Jim.
Such good advice.
Yeah, you guys have an excellent crew there, Skip, and keep up the good work, and I'll probably see you next week.
Thank you, Jim. Have a good day.
All right, appreciate that. Scott Sherman, what's going on, Scott?
Hey, guys. Hey, had a nice little victory I wanted to tell you about down at City. It was the other day at Environment Committee. We had the people talking about the pure water recycling program the city is going through. I don't know if you know about that, but what they're going to do is once they recycle the water, which is ultra pure, they're putting it into Lake Miramar. And our biggest concern all the time was, hey, look, if you're going to be putting in all this pure water into Lake Miramar, then you got to make sure that it's got the right alkalinity, the right pH to make the ecosystem going. The fishing community came down and everything worked out just fine, and now the fishing community is involved completely and part of the motion that the water department worked with the fishing community to make sure that water stays pure.
And in real short, basically, they were wanting to put perfect drinkable water in there, which would not sustain fish or fish habitat, right? They basically wanted to filter the water to the point where it was like ready to go, be drinking out of the tap, but that would have basically been the end to fishing. It wouldn't support all the things. Exactly, all the things that, and so obviously with a lot of fishermen, back up and guys like Sherm. So that's now not the case, Sherm?
Yeah, what happened is, it's kind of like taking water out of an aquarium. When you do a water change, you put pure water back in, you got to add different things to make sure that it sustains the ecosystem. And I made the motion that the water department work with the different fishing groups and those types of things to monitor the water and put additives and those types of things in if we need be down the road. But the city department, water department will be working directly with different fishing groups to make sure that lake is monitored and the water stays at a quality to keep the ecosystem healthy.
That's awesome.
Good job, Sherm. Great work.
But I want to say thanks to SD Fish and Dwayne Patnell and some of those guys. I've always said that when you speak up in numbers, politicians listen, and what we did there was several guys from the fishing community, the bass community, came down and talked about the importance, kind of educated some of the other council members, and it was a unanimous vote to make sure that the fishing community was involved in making sure it's a good, healthy ecosystem in that lake to sustain the recreational fishery.
Nice work, Sherm.
Oh, always somebody trying to take something away from us.
Yeah.
It's good to have guys like you out there to help us out, Sherm. Thanks a lot for that.
Well, you bet, guys. Anytime.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right, let's jump right back into the phones. Talk to Brett, who's calling us from Winchester this morning. Hi, Brett. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, Brett.
Hey, Captain Ryan, when you're chasing down those bluefin and they scatter, are they actually scattering, or is the whole school leaving in a direction? And then do you have a chance to loop back around on them?
Sometimes you have a chance to loop back around on them, but, the thing about bluefin is they like to be together. That's why you'll see normally when one fish does something, they all do it. They
don't spread out.
They don't really spread out and, if 2 go over there and 5 go over there. They all do the same thing. Bluefin, more than any other fish we fish for, like to be together. If one boat, that's why you'll see when we're out there targeting bluefin, the captains are on the radio a lot. If one guy sees a big, huge school, most likely you can drive that way, and within 5 miles of him, there's more, and they're all there in a small little block. That's why, in years past, when those bluefin were being stored in those pens down there below the hidden bank, the fish that weren't caught yet on the outside, the schools were gathering there. I don't know if they can smell each other or what it is. I don't know, but bluefin like to be together. We're constantly talking to Gavin on the Pacific Queen and Mike on the Tribute, and we're in constant contact because if one guy sees a big school, we're all coming that way because we know that they like to be close to one another.
Yeah, and how do you tell it's a big school?
By the sonar. Visually it's really hard to tell. Sometimes you can't, if it's a big breezer, you can tell by your eyes, whoa, this is 4 football fields worth of breezer. This is a lot of fish. But the really true way to tell is with the sonar. There's a term amongst the captains called screen filler. This is a screen filler, and what that means is this school took up my whole entire screen on the sonar. And, most of us are shooting our sonars 400 to 600 feet, and it's shaped like a cone, the beam that it shoots out. And when it takes up your whole screen, I couldn't even guess how many fish that is in a school. The spotter pilots could probably tell you how many fish it is, but it's got to be thousands and thousands.
That's rad.
It reminds me of that picture in the current issue of the Bite Journal by Carl Sabonis from the air of that giant school of giant bluefin.
Coolest thing I've ever seen.
The one I'm talking
so
about?
So cool.
These spotter pilots, I'm good friends with one of the local spotter pilots, and he's told me he's seen some schools from the air, some breezers, that are a mile from one end to the other.
Bluefin.
But we've seen it before where
the endangered bluefin.
The endangered bluefin.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Careful.
Do they ever see that? Do they ever see that in albacore or yellowfin?
They see big schools of yellowfin. I haven't asked them too much about that. The topic in the last few years has been this bluefin, and albacore I think school with more separation between the fish. So they'll see like a scattered area of them more than bluefin. But bluefin like to be together, and we've seen it a lot where we saw it yesterday. There's a school here, and then a quarter mile away there's another school, and we watched them as we're chasing them down. They come together and become one.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, we see that a lot. So you get there with some luck with timing. You get there at the right time, you have a chance of pulling up on a school that is enormous.
Yeah, and what is the right time?
Tomorrow.
Honestly, the right time is when you can get off work and you can go, and the weather's nice. I see a lot of it. A lot of passengers that get on these boats, they're studying these fish counts by the hour. We'll have 3 reservations, but then I call in a fish count of 20 bluefin, and our reservations go from 3 to 50 in 2 hours. People are on these fish counts, and a lot of times they're let down the next day because they're basing the success of their trip on what they catch.
Too late. So let's give it a classic example of that. What did you catch Tuesday?
On Tuesday we caught 54 bluefin tuna.
What did you catch Wednesday?
Wednesday 0. Or 7 or 11 or something. Not many.
It was tough.
But on Monday, Monday we had 18, and Cameron said, yeah, we saw some schools, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
We've been seeing schools all day, or all year really. We caught 18. Oh, that's cool. We get down there on Tuesday, and it's like, whoa, what are these?
Here they are.
What's up here? Why are they doing this? And we have a small group of regulars that fish with the San Diego that always seem to be there on the right day. And their trick is they look at the weather more than they look at the fish count. Okay. They're studying the weather, and they're also their dream scenario is the San Diego catches nothing the day before.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they catch nothing the day before, and the weather's going to be nice the next day. And they'll show up. They'll roll the dice. Now, they have been on some trips that are slow, and we've caught nothing.
Happens.
But of all the special trips I can remember offshore where we have good fishing, there's a handful of the same guys on the boat. This guy, Jerome Rosette, he's a paramedic in town. They know that if the boat caught nothing the day before, it means nothing for the next day.
Yeah, for sure. Don't pay attention to the fish counts.
Pay attention to them, but don't base your whole fishing life on fish counts.
Yeah,
that's good advice.
Yeah,
very good advice. Thanks a lot for the call this morning.
Hey, when we come back, we got more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of your phone calls, more great information. You stay tuned. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
The grand opening of the Big Bay Yachts office at Intrepid Landing continues. Scott Lampy has assembled a first-rate team of fishing professionals and boat experts at Big Bay Yachts to help you find that dream fishing boat or yacht. Big Bay Yachts is the dealer for Albemarle and Cobia boats. Come down to Big Bay Yachts. See and check out the amazing Cobia 23 and 27-foot center consoles. Priced to sell at ridiculous grand opening prices.
This is Scott from Big Bay Yachts. We have incredible boats, incredible values at incredible prices, so ridiculous that people say we're crazy. But not just on stock boats. For a limited time, come see me or one of my great staff, and we'll give you an extra discount on a custom-built Albemarle or Cobia done your way.
Let Scott and his crew show you the new Cobias, Albemarles, and quality brokerage boats of all shapes and sizes. Ready to fish this season. Cruise on by Big Bay Yachts right on the waterfront at the new Intrepid Landing in Point Loma. Check BigBayYachts.com.
It's happening next week. It's the West's oldest and biggest yacht show. It's the Newport Boat Show.
Celebrating 44 years of the premier yacht show. Can you believe that?
44 years. Yeah. And Duncan McIntosh is amazing. That guy is the boat show king.
No, that's why they do it. And they know where to do it. It's in beautiful Newport Beach. It's the ultimate location to put boats of that size. No matter what kind of boat you're into, whether it's mega yachts or sports fishers or sailboats, whatever, Newport Beach is a spot to do it, and that's why those shows have so much success. Is like you say, Duncan knows how to make it happen.
Yeah, and here's the cool thing about the Newport Boat Show. You don't see any other show in the West like this unless you go to Fort Lauderdale, you go to Miami, see these big boats, these big yachts in a beautiful setting. This is an East Coast, Southern Florida type yacht show right in our backyard where you can go on multi-million-dollar yachts and boats and dream and see things that you've never seen before.
And it's not just boats, too. It's all the services and things. You can see the guys from Seakeeper. You can see all the things that you'd want to screw or glue or add to your boat are all going to be available at this show.
You bet. It's happening April 27th through the 30th at Lido Marina Village. Thursday, noon to 7, Friday, Saturday 10 to 7, and then Sunday 10 to 5. Admission's just $15, and they have kids free and military discounts, free parking. And how do you find it, Rick?
There's more information. It's easy to go. You can purchase tickets online. All the info you want, NewportBeachBoatShow.com.
There it is, Newport Beach Boat Show, starting on April 27th.
This is Greg Stotesbury from AFCO. For more than 58 years, the American Fishing Tackle Company has been recognized as the premier manufacturer of precision-built offshore fishing tackle. AFCO continues this tradition today with an innovative technical fishing clothing line designed and built by fishermen for fishermen. From our next-generation waterproof shorts like Tactical or Stealth to our new anhydrous waterproof jacket and bibs, the entire AFCO clothing line is purpose-built with the latest AFTEC fabrics and features designed to deliver for the demanding angler. To find AFCO products, go to AFCO.com and find a dealer near you.
Alaska's Katmai Lodge is a world-class wilderness fishing paradise on the banks of the famed Alagnak River. You'll fish for all 5 species of Pacific salmon, king, sockeye, chum, coho, and on even years, pinks, plus trophy-sized rainbow trout, Arctic grayling, and Dolly Varden, both in the Alagnak and the nearby waters. Katmai Lodge's U.S. Coast Guard and CPR certified guides are fishing fanatics and know how to help you reel them in. They are exceptional teachers and ensure ensure you have days that are fish-filled and fun with freshly prepared snacks and barbecued lunches on the river. Back at the lodge, there are fireside appetizers and refreshments each afternoon, as well as fresh, delicious meals prepared by their exceptional chef. Elevate your visit with a quick fly-out trip to Brooks Falls in Katmai National Park for world-renowned bear watching. For the best fishing adventure ever, visit katmai.com. That's KATMAI.com.
For local and long-range fishing, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among seasoned or novice anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. They also do incredible Guadalupe white shark diving trips as well as a schedule of kayak mothership trips. You need to check out the Islander on their website, islander-charters.com. The Islander is San Diego's leader when it comes to 2 to 5 day fishing. Watch the website for trips and adventures available. Experience the Islander difference. Visit islander-charters.com for all the details. It's time to get excited about fishing, and Point Loma Sport Fishing has everything you'll need. They offer half-day and three-quarter-day trips daily, perfect for families and the novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips, targeting the best of seasonal catches. Visit their website at pointlomasportfishing.com, where you can purchase tickets online and get more information on the trips available, or call 619-223-1627.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
Hey, you just heard an ad for Islander Sport Fishing. We have our Islander day-and-a-half kayak trip to San Clemente Island up. It's going to be mid-June. It's a great trip. And we actually are selling it on our shop page. Let'sTalkHookup.com. Let'sTalkHookup.com. Go to the shop page, and you can purchase that trip right online right now. There's not a lot of spots left. They're going quickly. And thanks to the guys at Fastlane Kayaks who are going to be along on the trip, as well as myself, you can actually rent a kayak and apply that rental toward the purchase of a new Hobie Mirage Drive kayak from them. You need to make arrangements prior to that, but if you want to go with us, talk to the guys at Fastlane, purchase that on our shop page, letstalkhookup.com, and shop, and come on with us. It's a mid-June day-and-a-half trip, kayak trip on the Islander. They do a great job.
They do that the best, and the boat is so set up perfect for that with that swim platform that they built. I mean, it's the ultimate for that style of trip, no doubt.
I know, for sure. And also, check out this week's edition of Western Outdoor News. You talk about big bluefin. How about that cow on the Oceanside 95? Yeah, very, very good, and lots of other good information about other bluefin and rockfish and sea bass. All kinds of good stuff, always in every edition of Western Outdoor News. Pick up this week's edition. Look who's on the line. You know, Dart, I'm working. I'm trying to defend you, man. I'm just, but, it's. I'm saying the black cloud is off, but there's skeptics out there.
Well, first of all, great show, and I'd say, hey, you guys, and let me tell you, when I fish as much as I do, I expect the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I got both in about a week.
Nice.
But I will say that on Tuesday before I went out on the tribute, Gavin had 27 nice tuna. So I thought, oh, here we go. And guess who came out with me on the tribute? The legend from the Long Range crew, John Collins. And the two of us had a great day just talking fishing. We probably caught a couple thousand tons of fish while we were waiting for the bite that never came.
That's cool, Dart.
Yeah, John's a great guy, and boy, that must have been some good conversation on that.
Good stories there.
Yeah, when's your next trip?
But I just want to say that day with the Queen was absolutely perfect in terms of a great crew finding the fish and putting us on them all day long. We went from spot to spot to spot, and I was fortunate enough to catch my two and then help 5 other fortunate anglers catch some of theirs. So it was beautiful weather, and talk about bird schools. Oh, we ran one school for a half an hour at cruise thanks to the gyroscopic binoculars that could see that spot of fish so far away. It was amazing. And when we got on them, like Booger said, They came to the boat, they boiled up, and they did a little bit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was the day.
That was the day of the week so far, and there'll be another one.
And it was the weather day.
It was.
Yeah, I had one fish that was 32, and the other was 27.5.
Nice.
So you're right there, Ryan, as far as the size, right there at 30. They were beautiful, fat butterball bluefin, and Fisherman's Processing took such good care of them. And oh boy, do I have a lot of friends all of a sudden.
Yeah, wait. Hey, Ricky, did you get your chunk?
I
didn't get mine.
My phone must have been off or something.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't get the call either.
Don't forget, Ricky, you got one the next day.
Well, don't say you got to bring that up. Now I'm going to be responsible for not giving Pete his piece. Come on.
Yeah. Here, poor guy. I'm down. Down for the count fish, and you guys won't give me some fish. What's up?
Hey man, they're delicious. The early season ones are earned.
Yeah. All right, Doug. We've had enough of you here.
Before I go. There's going to be albacore this summer. Mark my words.
I like it, Dart.
All right. You heard it from the man, Bob Fletcher, right here.
Yes.
Albacore, right?
Going to hold you to that.
That's it, man. I'm counting on it. I'm looking for mixed albacore and bluefin in the same school, so you won't be sure what you got until you get them to color.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I can't wait.
Exciting.
Thanks, Dart. Appreciate it, and congratulations on your nice trip. Hey, let's go ahead and jump into those jam-packed phone lines.
Jam-packed they are, man. How about this time we talk to Dave? He's calling us from Encinitas this morning. Hi, Dave. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Ryan. Love going out on the San Diego when I get the chance.
Thank you.
Your service and everything is always top-notch. My question this morning is, I know the flatball's been the hot ticket, but do you see a shot at breaking out the spinning reel and start to use the poppers pretty soon?
Oh, you said the P word.
Ooh, the P word.
Yeah, I see that coming pretty darn soon. In fact, yesterday we saw some foamers that were up and looked like they were susceptible to the popper. So the whole thing with that popper phenomenon that happened last year was the bluefin tuna got on schools of bigger anchovy. They got on big schools of 4 to 5 inch anchovy, and they started foaming. They had to be in the right state of mind for us to catch them on the poppers, and we saw a little bit of that yesterday. So I would definitely be standing by, and it's probably a good idea if you're a popper guy and that's how you like catching them, you might as well bring it on every trip from here on out.
And the fish hadn't been that way earlier this year, right?
No.
This is the first time you'd seen them?
This is the first time we'd seen them, yeah. There had been reports of little spots of foamers. Some of the skiff guys were getting some surface iron and popper fish, but it was small schools. It wasn't the biomass that the sport fleet needs to be around. But yesterday we saw some very big schools up on Chovy. So if that's how you like to catch them, I would bring a popper or a surface iron. That when that popper thing was going on last year, there was equally as many being caught on a Salis 7X. They were biting both. So.
Good tip. And what do you? Okay, you're going to fish that with heavy leader though?
Yes, heavy leader.
Same type of setup as we were talking about with the flat fall.
Same type of setup. Yeah, maybe a long. That straight spectra can be harder to cast on a reel that doesn't have a level wind. So if it's 50 to 80s or even 50 to 100-pound tuna, you can do it on those tranxes, and it's very, very nice. I know Ricky knows a lot about this topic. Him and his partner Neil were out there a lot, and if it's 100 pounds and under, those tranks are hard to beat for a popper or some sort of lure like that. You get over that 100-pound mark, now you need to start thinking about a Talica or a reel with a little more guts, So
Trinidad,
Talica.
Yeah.
I like
Talica because of the two-speed.
You start getting those things over 100 pound, man. Is it doable? Of course. There's been a bunch of them caught before. Like Steve Loomis said, every bluefin they ever caught back in the old days was on a Penn 500. But you start getting those things over 100 pound, man. It is a lot nicer to have that low gear. A whole lot.
I was talking about this yesterday, that the reel technology I'm always amazed by it. I can remember fishing on these sport boats as a young kid with my dad and fishing albacore, and pretty regularly we would hook a big bluefin in the middle of an albacore bite, and we had two choices. It was either thumb the spool, break it off, or the crew's going to come and cut it off, because we need to get albacore, and we can't have you pulling on this thing for 2 hours only to lose it at color. So there's your choices, kid. Either
pull or
either break it off, or we're going to break it off for you. They were 100-pounders. You'd be fishing albacore, having a good day on albacore, and oh boy, someone hooked a 100-pounder. That's not an albacore, and that I just remember. Oh, okay, well that's what we do with bluefin. And now
that fish is catchable.
Now that fish is totally catchable on a reel that's not that big. It's amazing. The reel technology is amazing.
Pretty good. Hey, Dave, thanks a lot for the phone call this morning.
Mike and Chino, you're up next on Let's Talk Hookup. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Rick. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
Pete.
Morning, Mike.
Hey, all right. Hey, I just wanted to talk to Ryan and address you too, Rick, as a long rod fisherman catching that big bluefin last year on 40 or 50 pound test. Is that mono on your Talica?
Yeah, that big one that we caught was on 50-pound mono. It was so early in the, as we got lucky enough to catch those things as the year went on, we kind of refined our tackle and, figured out the best way to catch them and made it better. But at the beginning of the season, it was just 50-pound mono. I mean, I was fishing a Talica 12 that had a lot of spectra on, maybe 300 yard spectra, but a long, full cast length's worth of 50-pound mono. Call it 100 yards of 50-pound mono, and
so the knot wouldn't go through the guides pretty much, and, that way you have plenty of monofilament spreads too, right?
Right, and, that may have been the thing that caught us that fish, but as the season went on, we kind of would start to refine our tackle a little bit and get it better, and we went to fishing mostly all spectra and just a real short piece. By the end of it, when Boog nailed it exactly. If that fish was 100 pounds or below, I was fishing, or Neil was fishing a Tranks 500 with 80-pound Max Quattro Power Pro, literally to a swivel and a piece of 200-pound fluorocarbon. And that was our popper rig. And if we felt the fish were larger than 100 pounds, we were fishing a Talica 12 that was full of either 80 or 100-pound spectra. Spectra is one of those things that it's opposite of mono. The larger the diameter of the spectra, the easier that it seems to cast. At least for us. I can't tell you any history or theory behind that. Just I know that it's easier for me to cast 80 and 100 pound than it is to cast 50 and 60 pounds. So our rig at the end of the year became a reel full of that. The downside is I could only get one good cast per school out of that. Your line needs to be on tight and straight, and I'm not good enough to fish a popper, and not look at the reel and wind it on perfectly straight every time. So you get one good cast per spot, and then you'd get a kind of a half cast that would be looped up and not right. And that's the beauty of the Tranks, is you got a perfect cast every time.
Now, what about a spinning reel?
Totally doable.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, those flat falls, I think, were designed to be fished on a spinning reel. Other places in the world, a lot of spinning reel fish. It's just not something, Rick and I do too much. I feel uncomfortable with a spinning reel in my hand, and that's just me. But I know it can be done.
It can be done.
It's a lot different game now that Twin Power is around.
Right.
And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to do it. To be perfectly honest, I just can't afford.
Because you have power and the drag system.
Previous to that reel, my budget doesn't allow me to buy a Stella. That was a big part of it. To catch a fish of that size, you really need a Stella. It just wasn't in my budget. Now that Twin Power is available at literally half the price, that'll be a different story for this year. And if that fish goes up, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to add that to my arsenal. If the means were there for it, that Stella was no doubt all good on catching a big one. At the time, budget wasn't there for me, but it is with Twin Power, and so I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see that make its way onto the boat this year.
You can land a big fish on a spinning reel.
Absolutely.
I've done it.
Yeah. On a sport boat, the problem we have is the railing. The rail is there.
That's a problem, yeah.
On a
you can't use the rail.
You can't use the rail, and the rail is going to be close to your line at all times when you're fighting a fish, and it's just it's kind of uncomfortable. But on a private boat, without that railing there, you could keep your reel over the water, and get them.
Maneuverability is a major thing too. With spinning reel, you can fish real heavy drag, and you can use the boat to aid in landing the fish.
Absolutely.
In the opposite that most people think, you don't drive towards it, but driving away from it. And, you're using the boat to help plane the fish towards the surface, and you can counter or you can go with the, as that fish is spinning, you can use the boat to work with that, spiral of the fish. So you're using the boat to help gain the line and use the boat to help him from dropping his head, where it is tougher when the boat's not, not as
more difficult on a sport boat.
Doable for sure,
Yeah.
but for a boat like ours, it's definitely got its place.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, thanks a lot for the phone call this morning.
How about next up, we talked to Ron. He's calling us from Pacific Beach this morning. Hi, Ron. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey,
Morning,
hello.
Ron.
This is Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I had a question for Ryan regarding the perfect drift when you spot fish at the surface or you meter them down below. How would you describe a perfect drift for you when you position the boat?
We always try to put the boat either directly on top of the fish or up current of the fish. We want the boat to be, fish like to swim up current when they're feeding. So we want to be up current of them so they kind of swim to us. So we get above them or right on top of them usually, With this bluefin, it's all about hoping you're there on the day when they're in the right mode. You get on top of them. If they're in the right mode, you're going to be fine. You won't have the situation where, we didn't catch them that time. It must have been because I screwed up the drift. No, it wasn't that. It's just they're being bluefin. And you get on top of them or close to them. If they're in the right mode, you're going to catch them.
I'll tell you, it is sport boat fish right now, too. At least the day that I got to go on Wednesday. I have a boat that we catch a lot of tuna with and we can be very successful with, and that fish is within range of a boat like mine. But the way those fish were acting, the need to have a sonar to get on the spot correctly, like you could certainly have a pair of gyros like we do and get yourself in the area that they're at, but the area is just that. It's the area. The boats get on them with the sonar and get on top of them, and then the amount of bait that's used to get those things to go is just more than what capable of doing on my boat. We have a boat that's perfectly in range for it, but the San Diego is a better tool than my boat is right now. There's no
pouring
question.
the bait on them when you find them?
Yeah, bluefin like a lot of bait in the water to get activated. They're, albacore and yellowfin, you can throw one at a time and they'll activate. Bluefin are one of those fish where you have to pour the bait on them in the beginning, to get them activated. What was really funny about our good stop on Tuesday was in the morning we were stopping on big school after big school, and we were catching 1 to 5 fish out of them. And I'd come and look at the meter, and, man, we would have a ton of fish still around the boat, but we weren't catching them anymore. I mean, a lot of fish on us and underneath us. Then late in the day at about 2 o'clock, we went on to a school, and we had the initial flurry. We caught 2 or 5 or something on the initial flurry, and then they stuck around the boat. And we kept 1 to 10 fish hooked for 2.5 hours or something.
Wow.
I came up to the meter 3 or 4 times to look at the meter during that when we were catching them, and there was hardly any fish around the boat.
How interesting.
Really?
Hardly any.
What a trip.
Where were they? Off the boat?
There was enough on us. There was enough on us that were in the right mode. Most of the school had left. In fact, I called Gavin on the Pacific Queen. He went and hit the same school because it popped up again on our bow. We pulled just a little chunk of fish off of this big, massive school, but we pulled the right chunk off. We pulled the biters off. There was hardly any on us, but if a healthy bait was almost an insta-bite on the corner.
No kidding.
That's cool.
How fun
Isn't
is
that cool?
huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when we come back, we got more Let's Talk Hookup. We're going to find out who's going to get to go participate in that because we're giving away 2 spots on the San Diego. You stay tuned. More Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
The Sport Fishing Association of California is taking a leadership role to broaden the fishing opportunities for Southern California anglers. And Saturday, April 29th, Rock Cod Rick will be traveling to Mazatlan, Mexico with the president of SAC, Captain Ken Frankie, and his staff to host a live broadcast from the El Cid Marina and Resort in Mazatlan. The broadcast will feature some key personnel from Mexico Fisheries and help strengthen the ties with the sport fishing fleet in Southern California and Mexico. They will also discuss the great fishing opportunities available in Mazatlan. SAC's mission is to promote tourism through marine recreation and educational activities while protecting ocean resources. By working together with Mexico, we can show our care for the resources both at home and across the border. Tune in Saturday, April 29th for a very special live Let's Talk Hookup broadcast from Mazatlan, Mexico with the Sport Fishing Association of California. Check CaliforniaSportFishing.org.
38 years ago, my parents started Fast Lane Sailing Center. they sold catamarans because they wanted to do what they loved and sell what they loved to do. They wanted to share their passion with others, share the stoke. I'm Hayden Lane, and over the last 3 decades, my parents have shared that passion with thousands of people, my brother, sister, and I among them. We grew up right there at the shop in Dana Landing Marina in Mission Bay, sailing on the bay, fishing off the docks, and later off the Hobie Mirage kayaks. We grew up surrounded by the water. Our shop was filled with tools that Hobie and other brands have made to enjoy on the water. And I use them all. I mean all of them. Wouldn't you? So when you come into the shop, you're not going to hear a salesperson trying to convince you to buy something. You're going to hear us bragging about how much fun we have on these toys and telling you to do the same. We test every product out there, and we only sell the best because we want to use the best. So check out our website at FastlaneKayaking.com or get on down to the shop in Dana Landing and find your next adventure.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
No matter the fishing conditions, count on the Seagar family of fluorocarbon leader material to help you catch more fish. Fluoro Premier has a smaller diameter with the highest break strength. Plus, it is super soft. When bites are tough, tie on Fluoro Premier. Blue Label is tough as nails with incredible abrasion resistance and impact strength. And new Pink Label is the choice for tough light conditions, giving you a little more visibility for better line control. Pick up a spool of Seagar at your favorite tackle dealer or visit Seagar.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. All right, the 2 lucky winners that are going fishing aboard the beautiful San Diego out of Seaforth Sport Fishing are Mike in Chino and John in Long Beach. Guys, congratulations. Not a finer 3/4 day boat out there than the San Diego.
No doubt about it. Free parking, Seaforth Sport Fishing, such a great operation. Captain Ryan Bostian, it's always a pleasure. This 2 hours goes so fast.
Very fast. Yeah, I feel like I'm just hanging out in the galley talking shop with the boys.
Yeah, man. So, how do we go on the San Diego?
Call Seaforth Landing at 619-224-3383, or you can book online at seaforthlanding.com or on the boat's website, www.thesandiego.com.
All right.
You want to follow us every day, we're up on all the Instaface and
Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And you post
Twitter.
Every day.
We post every day.
Yeah.
The only time I wouldn't post would be if I was out of phone service or something somewhere, but pretty much every single day.
Yeah, that's cool. Keep it up, because I follow it.
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks. Appreciate that. And thank you for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 and 9 a.m. Well, Ricky will be back along with Mr. John Ireland from Rancho Leonero. My wife, Lolly, and I are going to take a little short vacation locally here, and Ricky's going to handle the horn tomorrow, 7 and 9 a.m. with Mr. John Ireland, one of our favorite shows ever, coming in here talking Rancho Leonero. We'll see you tomorrow morning right back here on the Mighty 1090.